Cleopatra. Everyone knows her. The beautiful Queen of Egypt. The woman who seduced Caesar and Mark Antony with her beauty. The tragic queen who died by a snake. But almost none of this image is true. And the real Cleopatra was a completely different person from what Hollywood showed you. First, the most surprising fact. Cleopatra was not Egyptian. She descended from the Macedonian Greek dynasty, a descendant of Ptolemy, a general of Alexander the Great. The Ptolemaic dynasty ruled Egypt for 300 years, and in those 300 years, none of them learned Egyptian. Cleopatra was the only exception. She learned Egyptian, not just Egyptian. She knew 9 languages: Greek, Egyptian, Latin, Arabic, Hebrew, Syrian, and others. This raises a question nobody can fully answer. Why did Rome's most powerful men fall under the spell of this woman? The answer was not beauty. The answer was intelligence. Rome called her a seductress, but this was Roman propaganda. Octavian, Caesar's heir, portrayed Cleopatra as a treacherous and immoral woman. Why? Because Mark Antony, a Roman general, stood on Cleopatra's side. Discrediting her meant discrediting Antony too. Ancient historian Plutarch recorded the words of people who had met Cleopatra. Her beauty was not so remarkable, but her voice was like music, and conversation with her was never forgotten. Not beauty, but intelligence and the art of words. This was the real Cleopatra. At 18, her father died, and she took the throne. But her brother Ptolemy XIII wanted the throne for himself and drove Cleopatra out of Egypt. She fled to Syria, but she didn't surrender. She raised an army and came back. At exactly this moment, Roman General Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria, and Cleopatra made the most daring decision of her life. She ordered a servant to wrap her in a carpet, or according to other sources, a laundry sack, and smuggle her secretly into Caesar's presence. A 22-year-old girl, alone, surrounded by enemies, and she convinced the most powerful man in Rome. This was not beauty. This was courage and intelligence, Caesar and Cleopatra. Most people think of this as love, but the truth was mutual benefit. Caesar needed Egypt's wealth. Cleopatra needed Rome's military power. They used each other, and both knew it very well. Cleopatra bore Caesar a son, Caesarion, Little Caesar. She went to Rome, lived in Caesar's villa. The Roman people did not like her, but she paid no attention to this. 44 BC. Caesar was assassinated, and Cleopatra was alone again. She returned to Egypt with her son Caesarion, the child who connected her to Rome, but now that connection was severed. She needed a new ally, and she found one. Mark Antony, Caesar's closest general, was now the most powerful man. Cleopatra welcomed him with her ship. According to historians, the ship was so magnificent that Antony was stunned with amazement. Gold and silk, music and flowers. This was a performance. Cleopatra was showing him the power of Egypt. An alliance was formed with Antony. They stood together against Rome. They had 3 children, but Octavian, Caesar's heir, crushed them at the Battle of Actium, 31 BC. Antony was defeated, and for Cleopatra, everything was over. The Battle of Actium, one of the most decisive naval battles in history. Octavian's forces versus Antony and Cleopatra. 2 massive fleets. The fate of Egypt and the entire ancient world decided in a single day. Antony's ships were larger, but Octavian's fleet was faster and better organized. The battle turned. Cleopatra's ships retreated. Antony followed her, and Rome watched in disbelief. The outcome changed the entire ancient world. Egypt was finished, and Octavian became the first emperor of Rome. Octavian entered Alexandria. Antony received a false message. He thought Cleopatra was dead and fell on his own sword. Cleopatra was alive, but she could not save Antony. And now Octavian wanted to take her to Rome, to parade her through the streets as a captive queen, as a display. Cleopatra did not accept this. August 12th, 30 BC. She entered her chamber with 2 servants and did not come out. How she died, nobody knows for certain. Legend says a snake, an asp, but historians find this unlikely. More probably poison or a poisoned pin. Nobody knows exactly. At 39, the most famous woman in world history was gone. And with her, Egypt too. The Ptolemaic dynasty ended forever. And the most mysterious detail at the end. Cleopatra's tomb has never been found. Much of ancient Alexandria now lies 6 to 7 meters underwater. Archaeologists are searching, but still nothing. The most famous woman in world history still lies hidden like a secret. Caesar, Antony, Octavian, all of them are gone. But Cleopatra, 2,000 years later, is still spoken of. Perhaps this too was her plan. She was not beautiful. She was not Egyptian. She was not a seductress. She was the most intelligent political mind of her era. And she used everything she had to keep Egypt alive as long as possible. What do you think? If Cleopatra had won at the Battle of Actium, would history have been different? Leave your answer in the comments. And if this story made you think, subscribe, because next time we go even deeper.